Hey guys, it's me, Jeffrey.
Hi, so I'm Cindy.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Tessa.
Hello, I'm Bea.
Hey, I'm Jesslyn.
Hi.
Hi, I hope you're doing well.
Okay, how did I join JASS? I joined JASS because I really like scavenger hunts. And I'm not even joking. Like, I didn't join JASS at the beginning of the school year. I've never heard of JASS at the beginning of the school year. I joined band and I joined Seeds. And Seeds is like an environmental club. And so we were biking back from the scavenger hunt, and she was like telling me about her plans. And she was like, yeah, like I'm probably gonna go to like a barbecue thing. It's free. It's held by this club. And I was like, oh, what's the club called? And she was like, Japanese American Student Society. And I was like, okay, good for you. Have fun. I did not care for, like, I just did not have any interest. I was just like, okay, cool. And so that didn't really register until much later. So like freshman year, I went to the club fair and I got flyered by Sila, and she gave me the flyer. I looked at the flyer, and one of the events was a scavenger hunt. That's what really drew me in.
I joined JASS last year as a third year, and so basically I heard about it from a friend that had been in the club the year before, and I honestly didn't know anything about it. I had never even really heard of it until he mentioned it, but he had so many good things to say about it, so I really wanted to go and check it out. So at the beginning of my third year, I checked it out. And in the beginning, I was a little skeptical because it was really out of my comfort zone, and I had checked out other clubs before and they weren't kind of what I wanted. But I really liked the fact that JASS had events every Saturday, and so I started going to pretty much every event. And eventually and pretty quickly, I found myself really enjoying all the events.
So during freshman orientation, I met this girl, and then fall quarter, she was in my freshman seminar class about Japanese culture. And she was like, hey, do you want to learn more about Japanese culture? You should join JASS, the Japanese American Student Society. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Are you going to join too? And she was like, probably not, but you should go check it out. So I was like, oh, okay. And coincidentally, it was one of the only clubs that actually fit into my horde schedule. And I stayed because everyone was so nice.
So I met an upperclassman named Brian at my first JASS event, and he said the club was trying to revive an I Am 2 polo team, and they needed another girl to join the roster because of I Am Davis sports rules. It sounded fun, and at the first practice at Almonwood Pool, I met the only other freshmen there, which were Arissa and Luke, and they introduced me to their group of friends at the next event and meetings, and their enthusiasm for the club convinced me to join.
Oh, the interesting thing is that the first jazz person I met was actually my grandbig. And I didn't meet her in jazz. I met her at soccer field the first day in college. We playing soccer together, like pick up, but we didn't really talk to each other. In the next week, I saw jazz tabling at the MU. It was Lisa E and Tina, Sila or Yuri. But anyway, I got the flyer, right? I was like, oh. So I went to check out the meeting, and I saw Saka there. I was like, oh, she's here too. So I went to talk to her. I was like, hey, you remember me? We played soccer together the other day. She looked at me like, no. What's her name? I was like, oh shit.
I ended up finding out about jazz through Yiming. Our freshman year, we were like dorm friends or something, and I guess it was ski trip where he was like Snapchatting everything, and I messaged him like, "Hey, where you at? That looks so fun." And then he said, "Join JASS. It's a social club." And I was like, "Okay." And then a couple weeks later, I ended up attending some meetings and an event, but I ended up ghosting the club for the rest of my freshman year. And then I ended up rejoining my second year and became super active. The rest is history. Yeah.
So I joined JASS because of my big from another club. He was part of JASS at that time. His name's Hamilton, by the way. And he was all like, you're kind of a loner. Join our club or something. Make new friends. Branch out. I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not a loner, but you're right. So I went to the first meeting, and I just liked the vibes around it. Everybody was fun to talk to, and everything was just engaging, and the slides were cool. So yeah, I stuck around for 1 year, my final year. But yeah, I'm glad I listened to him.
I would have to say beach trip sophomore year. There's there's actually a concept called in sociology called collective effervescence, and this moment was literally collective effervescence. Basically, everyone in that house, we were all singing Africa by Toto together, and like lip syncing. Basically, there's a video and we're just all singing it together, and yeah, just picture a whole beach house just with people enjoying just a great song. Yeah, that's probably my favorite memory.
So there's a lot of really, really great memories I've had in JASS. So it's really hard to pick a favorite. But I'd say up there is freshman year beach trip, where myself, Sam, Tessa, Arissa, Chris, Mai, and Show, and a bunch of other random people just got together in a closet and made up a bunch of code names and just had a lot of fun on the trip. It was just a fun time. Like, Arissa started writing your mom on people. It was entertaining, to say the least. And yeah, it was just a good time with building new friendships and exciting freshman year. So yeah, that was fun.
I'd say my favorite memory in JASS would probably be my first ski trip, and that was really the first event for me where I felt like, wow, I'm like an actual member of the club. Only because I was lucky enough to talk to and meet so many new people, and it was just really good vibes all around. And I feel like being stuck in a cabin with so many people for 3 days straight can really help that happen.
Last year's ski trip, this would have been, early 2019. We were having a bit of a hard time at ski trip. I was president at the time, and I wasn't doing a very good job of it. And so, so it was just in cabin B. It was just me, Zoe, Harana, and May. And we'd had a long, hard day at work, and we were just kind of sitting around at like 1 a.m. after everyone had gone to sleep and just talked about stuff. And that's probably when I really got close to Zoe, Harana, and May. Not even beyond them being my officers, just as just hanging out as friends.
So one of my most favorite JASS memories was when my family and I hung out with Julia's family for that one family points thing, and we went to Lazy Cow just to drink some boba and chill, hang out. But the boba part was just half of it. The second half of that night was we spontaneously went to Dairy Roads to see the cows, and this was at 11 p.m. So it was very dark. So we decided to attract the cows by clapping our thighs, which is, I know it sounds very weird, but it was to attract the cows, which works for some reason. Thanks, Alexa. But yeah, it was just a very weird night, but in the best way possible, and just very wholesome. Yeah, it was great.
So my favorite JASS memory probably has to be in my second year, when I first joined JASS. There was the Cherry Blossom Festival, and at the time, I think the president was trying to get more recruits for the festival, so she put out a challenge. I think it was 4 or 5 shifts, and each shift was like 2 hours. But the challenge was if anyone actually signed up for a lot of shifts, I think it was 4 or 5 at the time, then she would make the entire all the guys in cabs serenade that person. And she did it as a joke. So I went and I called her bluff, and then she got really mad about it, apparently. So that was probably my favorite memory in jazz, being able to just immerse myself with a bunch of people for like a whole weekend. It was really fun.
An iconic episode for me personally would have to be Banquet of 2018, which is basically Banquet my second year, because on that day I was pretty hungover and overall just feeling awful physically. It was a pretty bad day, and I had a performance that day too, so I wasn't able to attend the last performance meetup, and it was a pretty bad time for me. I was feeling bad. My housemate had to leave me because she felt like I couldn't make it, but by the generosity of Zoe, she picked me up and drove me to Banquet. Anyways, what else? Oh yeah, when I arrived there, everyone was just like staring at me and asking if I was okay, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, don't worry about it. But I looked so pale, and I was literally dying inside, but I didn't wanna show it because I wanted to go to Banquet. But it wasn't until like before we ate, I threw up like one last time in the bathroom, and that's when I immediately felt better. And that was just also right in time for us to do the performance of my group I was in, the Jungle Asian Student Society. And then we did a lot of fun dances. We even did like the Ocho Ocho and some iconic Filipino dances. It was really fun. It was a really good day. And a really bad day too, so.
Probably be from Banquet last year when Shimo won King. That was just so dope, and he was so happy. It made me happy.
My favorite JASS memory. When I was a freshman, I went to ski trip, and I was hanging out with Shimo a lot, and we didn't have a lot to do, so we ended up bullying Mike, another cabinet member. So we took a picture of Mike, we made a grinder, a very explicit grinder, and we started flirting with a bunch of middle-aged weird men. I think we almost got Mike kidnapped, but he's okay now, so it's not really a big deal. Thanks, Shimo.
Someone I thought I would never be friends with in JASS is Luke. I know that sounds bad because he's my pick, but honestly, like, my first impression of him before I started talking to him was, oh god, like, this guy, he's probably gonna be like a fucking weeb, and we're not gonna get along. And he is a weeb, but we get along so well that I swear to god that we're like the same person. It's fucking scary. Anyway, it kind of sucks that we're all graduating in this weird time, but we all did it. We're almost there. Keep going, everyone.
Spring quarter freshman year, a mutual friend between Tessa and I were like, hey, I know this girl named Tessa and she just joined JASS. You should be friends with her. Like, she's gonna playing tube polo. So one time after a tube polo game, we all went out to go get boba, and I was like, okay, cool. This is my opportunity to be friends and introduce myself. So we were sitting across the table, and I was like, hey, I'm Sam. Our mutual friend said that, we should get to know each other. And she was like, who? ... She didn't know who our mutual friend was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like really awkward. And we were just kind of staring at each other from across the table, and none of us said another word. So I was just kind of like in my head, like frantically thinking like, okay, I just ruined a potential friendship and we're not gonna be friends in the future.
During beach trip my freshman year, Shimo, Arissa, Luke, Sho, and I bonded by eating chips in a closet and making code names during the nighttime festivities portion of the night. We still laugh about Arissa writing your mom on everyone's arms that night, and me saying just one more shot, and both of us trying to convince everyone that wall sits were really fun. And it was such a fun night, and I'm so grateful for the people that I met on that trip because they really stuck with me throughout all of college. And the weekend trips were always memorable as opportunities to make new friends.
I mean, I did have some kind of image of Japanese culture before. I didn't really know anything about it though. Like the only thing I really knew was like anime, and I kind of just thought like gross. But not that the things that I thought weren't true, they kind of are a little bit, but in a good way. And I kind of discovered that, and I mean now I'm watching anime too thanks to Sean De La Pena. And so it ended up being a way better experience than I could have ever imagined for myself in college. And it was a complete surprise to me that the Japanese club on campus was the place that I would really find a lot of my friends and like make all my memories.
Oh, I didn't expect to be a family leader of awesome capybaras. Anyways, I didn't expect to be a family head of a family that was honestly the best, I think, in my opinion. We were falling behind as a family overall in terms of like rankings, I think. But then with the efforts of like us as family heads, me, Haruna, Zoe, we tried to make up for it, and we ended up creating a family with a very strong bond, and we ended up being really close.
I've done so many things so many things that I never would have thought were available until I joined the club. A couple of these things include touching a table owned by Louis XIV. I set my Four Loko down on it and I just started talking. I wish I could remember that, but people told me, and it seems to be a documented event, so I'll just take their word for it.
Be present and cherish those small moments because you never know what's coming. 2020 really showed us that, and just be grateful for the people around you that are special because you don't know if you'll get those proper goodbyes that you always thought you were going to get.
I think my biggest advice would probably be get to know people with an open mind. You can have one first impression of someone, but it can be completely different once you talk to them and get past that initial layer of just like small talk and everything. And I think that's one of the most rewarding feelings is getting past that like small talk level, and like truly connecting with people.
I think not everyone is scared to meet new people, but I think a lot of people are. And so I think if we all just remember that the person we're talking to is probably just as nervous as we are while we're discussing with them, making small talk, which isn't fun, but it's really what sets the stage for becoming friends with that person.
For advice, I'd say probably just try to keep an open mind and make the most out of every moment. It sounds like really, really cheesy and like cliche, but everyone's here to make friends in this club, so it's always gonna be a good time if you realize everyone else is trying to make friends too, and yeah, we're all here to have fun, so make every moment fun if you can.
Remember that you're also, an individual, and JASS is just a fun place for you, you to meet new people. I met some of the best people I've, ever met this year, Joseph and Ashley. I don't know, like, I don't know, it just had a lot of fun, hanging out with them this year, and it was just kind of special having, them around to hang out just every weekend, just talking to them and just seeing what it's like for new people to join JASS, this time around and help them get into it. I don't know, I had a lot of fun with them this year, and I'm kind of really angry that it got cut short, but, that's life, and, you just make do, and, I think JASS can still be fun even if, we have to social distance, so.
And advice for others? College is really hard. Like, at least it was for me. And whatever you're going through right now, it's going to be okay. And I know it's hard to say when you're in the fire. Like, things are so hard, and it's just like sometimes you don't have a support system. Sometimes you just like can't handle like what's coming your way, but you'll be okay. Things will get better because I mean, you go to Davis, you're probably smart. You probably have something about you, and you've made it this far, so you're gonna be fine.
So, let's see. Hi, I'm Erica. I graduated about 3 months ago, so I've been out of school for a while now, and I've been looking for jobs, but there's not a ton available, so that hasn't been going so well, but it's fine. I've had a lot of time for my other hobbies. I've been taking a lot of naps, and that's been really great. I've been doing more gardening. I mean, I've always had succulents that I've taken care of, but I recently started growing things that I could actually eat. I started an herb garden a couple weeks ago, but they all kind of look like this right now. So that's been going well, as you can tell. And what else? I started to get into soap making. I haven't made any soaps yet, but I imagine it's really fun, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, that's my life. I hope that gives you something to look forward to. Yeah, okay.
And yeah, and then so for what my plans are for after graduation, I'm planning to work as an EMT and hopefully stick around Davis for a little while longer. And then in a year or so, I really want to apply to nursing school and then continue to go to school and hopefully become a nurse.
So I don't think most people know, but after graduating, I will be going to med school. I actually got into a school in Southern California, a really new one called California University of Science and Medicine. So I will be heading down there, far on the other side of California, but at least not on the other side of the country. And hopefully it will be a new and exciting experience. I'll be a little sad to have to leave Davis, but sometimes you gotta go a little far out to stretch your wings, right?
People in Jazz, they're just really nice. You guys are really nice, and you guys made Jazz great. And yeah, and I got to know a lot of good friends, and they really got me involved in jazz. But
JASS has truly shaped my college years with the weekend trips, events, and so many friends, and I'm so grateful to be part of such an interesting club.
Thank you for everything, JASS.
Thank you, JASS, for all the memories and the friends.
And so, thank you, JASS, for so many good years and so many fun memories.
Thank you to the people who helped me become more integrated and just have all these experiences that I'll never forget.
And with that, yeah, just thank you. And thank you for trying out the club, and I hope you stay with it. Thank you for making it special.
I hope you do well. Love you guys.